Welcome back, everybody. For this deep dive, we are going to be looking at something a little different.
Ooh,
Yeah. Our source material today is actually a podcast episode.
interesting.
Yeah. It's called Why Looking Back Could Be Holding You Back. Embrace God's Call for a New Beginning.
Okay.
Now, I know you might be thinking a faith-based podcast, but trust me, stick with us.
Okay.
The ideas in this episode, they really resonate, even if you're not coming at it from a religious perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. So to give you a bit of background, the episode really centers around this story of Lot and his family,
Oh, okay.
from the Bible.
Right.
They're fleeing the destruction of Sodom.
Yeah, fire and brimstone raining down.
Exactly. It's super dramatic, right? Like a movie scene almost.
Totally. And God specifically tells them, do not look back.
Right. But of course, Lot's wife, well, she can't resist. And she turns into a pillar of salt.
It's such a powerful image,
It really is.
That tension between leaving the past behind and moving towards something new.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we've all felt that pull of the past at some point, right? That feeling of being stuck, unable to move on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The episode even calls it spiritual numbness.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like you're going through the motions but not really living in the present moment. You're
Yeah.
just so fixated on regrets or what ifs or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I get that. But it makes you wonder, right? Like, why did Lot's wife look back? What was going through her head?
Right.
Was she longing for her old life or scared of the unknown? Or was it something else entirely?
Like a great question.
The podcast, it actually goes into different interpretations,
It does.
which I think is interesting because it makes you think beyond just the surface level of the story.
Oh, for sure.
And then there's the whole symbolism of the salt pillar.
Yeah. It represents that stagnation,
Right.
that inability to adapt and move forward.
And that's something that I think, even though it's a religious story, that idea of being held back by the past, that's universal.
Oh, totally.
I mean, think about how often do we replay old mistakes or dwell on past hurts or even cling to memories that, maybe weren't even that great to begin with.
All the time.
Right.
In psychology, we call that rumination.
Okay.
It's that mental loop of negativity.
Yeah, I've definitely been there.
It can be such a trap,
Yeah.
because it stops you from actually enjoying what's happening right now.
Right. And even though the podcast is talking about, God's call to move forward, we can think about it from a more secular point of view too, right?
Absolutely.
It's recognizing that everyone makes mistakes
For sure.
and everyone has regrets, but those things don't have to define us, right?
Exactly. They can actually be like stepping stones on the path to growth and change.
I like that. Stepping stones. So the podcast is really about finding that strength to let go, right?
Yeah, whether it's through faith or therapy or just a conscious choice to shift your focus.
Right.
It's about breaking free from those negative patterns
Yeah, totally.
and stepping into something new.
It's like that scene in a movie, where the hero finally breaks free from whatever's been holding them back.
Right.
It's that moment of liberation. But just like with any hero's journey, it takes courage
Yeah,
and a willingness to face what's ahead.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And, just like the story of Lot's wife is a cautionary tale, it also offers hope, right?
Mhm. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a reminder that there's always a way forward, a chance for a fresh start.
Okay.
Even when we feel stuck, we still have the power to choose a different path.
Right. So it's not about pretending the past didn't happen or trying to erase it.
No, not at all.
It's about recognizing its impact,
Yeah.
but also choosing to focus on the possibilities that are ahead.
And I think that's where the real power of letting go lies.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
not just about releasing the burdens of the past.
Yeah.
It's about opening yourself up to the fullness of life right now and the hope for a brighter future.
I love that.
You too.
That's a really great way to put it. So we've got this idea of letting go of the past, embracing new beginnings, and we're using this biblical story as a framework.
Right.
But like we said, these ideas are super relevant to everyone,
Definitely.
no matter what your background is. So
Yeah.
stick with us, folks. We're going to unpack this even more in the next part of our deep dive.
It's going to be good.
For sure.
It's funny, this episode, it actually talks about how sometimes we need like a real wake-up call.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, to snap us out of those patterns,
Right.
of holding on.
Right.
And they even use that imagery of, fire and brimstone.
Oh, intense.
Yeah, like a metaphor for those moments when we're forced to confront the consequences of holding on too tight.
Yeah, I get that. But it doesn't always have to be some external force, right? Sometimes it's our own internal struggles that hold us back.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, there's this quote from the Bible that the podcast uses.
Okay.
It says, each person is tempted when they are drawn away by their own evil desire and enticed.
Okay.
It's a reminder that we have to, like, examine those desires and see if they're actually leading us towards growth
Yeah.
or if they're keeping us stuck.
Right. So it's not always about external factors or other people. Sometimes it's us.
Yeah, exactly.
We're the ones standing in our own way, which makes me think about how attached we can get to certain ideas or beliefs or even memories that just don't serve us anymore.
Totally. And you know what? The podcast host even talks about how we can get stuck on good memories too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like we might romanticize the past
Right.
and hold on to a version of it that wasn't even that great to begin with.
It's like we're looking back with those rose-colored glasses on,
Right.
ignoring all the parts that don't fit the narrative we've created in our heads.
Right. And sometimes it's not even about romanticizing the past, it's about fearing the future.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah, like what if things don't work out? What if we fail?
Right,
That fear can be paralyzing.
for sure. But the podcast reminds us that, taking that step forward, even into the unknown, can actually lead to something better.
It can?
It's about having that trust
Yeah.
that there's a bigger plan, even if we can't see it right now.
And that trust can come from a lot of places.
Yeah.
It can be faith. It can be, believing in yourself and your own resilience.
Right, your ability to handle whatever challenges come up.
Exactly. It's like, that classic hero's journey,
Oh, yeah.
leaving the comfort of what you know and venturing into the unknown, even when it's scary.
Love that analogy. But, the podcast also talks about how sometimes letting go means letting go of things we might think are good or valuable.
That's interesting. What do you mean?
Well, it's about recognizing what's truly important and what aligns with our values and goals.
Right. So it's not just ditching the bad stuff.
Exactly.
It could be letting go of certain dreams or goals or even identities that don't serve us anymore.
It's about making space for something new.
Yeah.
Something that might even be better than what we're clinging to.
And that's where forgiveness comes in, right?
Oh, good point.
To really let go, we have to forgive ourselves for the mistakes
Yeah.
and forgive others for the ways they've hurt us.
So we can move forward without that burden.
Exactly. It's like that image of salt dissolving in water,
Okay.
Doesn't mean the past disappears completely, but it loses its power to define you.
It becomes part of our story, but
Yeah.
it doesn't control the ending.
I like that.
Me too.
Yeah.
So powerful, right? It's not about erasing the past, but transforming it.
Yeah.
Taking those experiences and using them as fuel for growth.
I love that.
Me too. It reminds me of that saying, turn your wounds into wisdom.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
But how do we actually do that? It's one thing to talk about it, but putting it into practice.
Yeah, it can be tough.
Right. Does the podcast offer any practical advice?
It does. One of the key things is, shifting your focus.
Okay.
Instead of dwelling on what's behind us, we need to look ahead.
Right. Focus on the possibilities.
Yeah, and cultivate that sense of hope for the future.
So it's like training our minds to look for the good, even when things are tough.
Exactly. Choosing hope over despair, faith over fear.
But that can be so hard, especially when you've been through a lot.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's possible, and we don't have to do it alone, right?
Right. We have friends, family, maybe a therapist or spiritual advisor.
It's like you're building that support system.
Yeah, people who can encourage us, challenge us, and help us stay on track.
And sometimes it's about those small, everyday actions.
Okay.
The podcast talks about taking one small step today to move forward.
I like that.
It could be journaling, practicing gratitude, doing a hobby you enjoy, or even just talking to a friend.
It's about building momentum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. One step at a time, one day at a time. And, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress. It's about choosing each day to turn away from the past and embrace those possibilities that are waiting for you.
I love that. So empowering. So it's not about forgetting the past, but reframing it.
Yeah.
Understanding that our experiences, good and bad, have shaped us, but they don't control our future.
That's such a powerful message.
It really is, and I think it's a message that everyone needs to hear. One thing that I found really interesting was how the episode talked about letting go as an act of obedience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like surrendering to a higher power or maybe just trusting the flow of life,
Right, like acknowledging that some things are out of our control.
Exactly.
And choosing to believe that things will work out, even if it's not how we planned it.
It takes a lot of courage to let go of that need to control everything, right?
It really does. But the episode suggests that surrendering can actually lead to more freedom and joy.
It's like finally exhaling, you know? That
Yes.
breath you didn't even realize you were holding,
Exactly.
and suddenly there's space for new possibilities and peace. Oh, yeah.
Love that.
Me too. So it's not just about passively waiting, right?
No, not at all. It's about actively participating in that renewal,
Okay.
taking those steps, even small ones, and trusting the process.
So it's a team effort in a way,
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
whether it's with a higher power or our own intuition or the people around
It's
us
about actively engaging in that letting go process.
and moving forward.
Right. And, the episode ends with this really thought-provoking question.
Oh, what is it?
What's one thing from your past that you're ready to let go of?
Okay.
And what step can you take today to start moving on from it?
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful question. It's like a challenge, right? To actually put all this into practice.
Exactly. It's not just about understanding it in your head, but actually living it.
Right. So for you, what really resonated from this whole deep dive?
Hmm. That's a good question. I think for me, it's that reminder that letting go isn't a one-time thing.
Yeah.
It's a constant process.
Right.
It's about growth, forgiveness, trust, and choosing to keep moving forward, even when it's tough.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Well, that brings us to the end of another deep dive.
It went by fast.
It did. But as we wrap up, remember, the past can teach us, but it doesn't have to define us.
You have the power to choose a new beginning.
That's right. And you have the power to embrace the life that's waiting for you.
Absolutely. Don't forget, even small steps can lead to big changes.
Love that. So think about it. What's one small step you can take today to start letting go and embracing the future?
We hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. And until next time, keep diving deep.